I think it's dumb to struggle more than you need to. And I think it's dumb to think that artists have to be starving and dark. Like, no. And the same thing for business owners. If you are a solopreneur, we all know how hard that is. We all know how hard it is to be doing all the things for your business all the time. And like, why not embrace something that can make our life easier? And the one thing I would recommend that you do is to make sure that you are using it in a way that you do feel good about. So maybe you don't just copy paste everything and turn your brand into this dehumanized robot sounding brand. Like, no, how about you just use it to work through that writer's block or creator's block to help you clarify your ideas or think about things from a different perspective. I don't think that that should feel like cheating, because why not embrace the tools that can help us? And as long as you are using it in a way that feels authentic and good to you, great.
Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Hey, my friend. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I cannot wait to share today's conversation with you because this is actually a guest interview that I did on my friend Jessica's podcast called Pattern Design Circle. So in this conversation, we talk about lots of those mindset hesitations that might pop up for you when you are just starting to use AI in your business. We talk about, is this considered cheating? And the bigger questions of ethics and plagiarism when it comes to AI. This is a great listen for anyone who is at that stage, just starting to dip your toes into the AI world and get curious about how you can use it in the most authentic way. You know that this conversation is full of actionable tips, hot insights, and also just non-judgmental love for any entrepreneur who's wanting to start getting more done with AI in their business without sacrificing their authenticity or values. So before we dive in, I just want to remind you, if you love this show, please go ahead and leave us 5 stars or a friendly review on whatever platform you are listening to it on, because that really does help us to spread our message and continue growing our community. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. Have you been feeling frustrated trying to get ChatGPT to sound like you? You know this is an awesome tool you can use for so many things in your business, but you're tired of wasting time going back and forth only to end up with generic copy that sounds like a robot wrote it. Our new brand persona for ChatGPT mini course will help you hone your brand's unique voice with the help of ChatGPT, so you can get ChatGPT to dish up content ideas that are perfect for your brand and write copy that sounds just like you. With this quick, easy, and actionable mini course, we'll walk you through the process of training ChatGPT for your brand, so in less than an hour, you can turn ChatGPT into your amazing new assistant, content creator, copywriter, brainstormer at a minuscule fraction of the cost. So why wait? Sign up for our brand persona for ChatGPT mini course right now at AuthenticAIForEntrepreneurs.com/mini course. And in less than an hour, we'll get your ChatGPT to sound just like your brand and work authentically for your business.
I'm so excited to have Kinsey here with me. We've chatted with Kinsey here on the podcast before. Kinsey's from Feel Good Social, but Kinsey also now has a new podcast called Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs. So Kinsey's all about having an authentic business that really feels good. So we're going to be talking about AI from that approach. Is there anything else you want to share about yourself, Kinsey?
Oh man, I'm just so excited to be back. Jessica, thank you so much for inviting me on the show once again. And also I can't wait to chat about, how we can approach AI from like an authentic place that feels good to us. So we can use it to like find a little wiggle room behind the scenes to enjoy our lives while still boosting the success of our business. So can't wait to dive in.
Yes. So AI, first of all, when we start maybe the very base layer, AI is artificial intelligence. And really what we're talking about is programs like ChatGPT, where you tell it what you want and it gives you information, basically. Do you have like favorite platforms, or what are you recommending folks use?
Oh, yeah. I should just start out this interview by saying I am still in the very beginning stages of learning about AI myself. And I think that that's kind of the best approach you can take no matter where you're at. So, like, if you are out there just kind of dipping your toes in the world of AI and machine learning, language learning softwares like ChatGPT or other, visual AI creations or automations, chats, all that different stuff, it's okay if you are just starting out and you're just starting to learn because AI technology is ever evolving. There's more and more softwares coming out every day, right? And so just like take it easy on yourself and take it easy with your approach to learning about it. I personally have been dabbling with ChatGPT mostly. It's basically you input different prompts, you type things into the chat, and it will give you back information based on what you put into it, right? And basically how that sort of software works is that it just analyzes the text that you're giving it and then also gives an answer based on lots and lots of information from the internet around the globe. It gives an answer based on what it thinks you want and what it predicts you want the most, right? So that's what I've been playing around with a lot for gaining clarity on your brand, your messaging, for ideal customer research, for content idea generation and creation, copywriting, all that different stuff. But definitely I've also been playing around somewhat with like visual AI generation, which is hilarious. That has like a long way to go, and it's pretty cool with what it can create already. So that's kind of the stuff that I've been dabbling in so far. And once again, not a full expert yet, but I can share any insights or aha moments that I've learned so far with you.
Well, and honestly, these programs are so new that besides the people who have been working on it for years, nobody's really, like, you could be an expert in what's available right now, but nobody's really probably can call themselves truly like an AI expert. Like, you can't have been working in it in your business for the last 15 years and you've just got all this experience because it just hasn't been a tool available that long.
Yeah, like what is an expert really, right? Like, no, I mean, yeah, for sure. Exactly. I think that that's my approach with like my new podcast as well. I do have the Feel Good Social podcast, as you guys may know, and I am starting the new AI angled podcast called Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs. And it's kind of, I think that the people who are experts in AI technology, I hope to bridge the gap between learning about this technology and kind of hearing from the experts, and then also helping down-to-earth entrepreneurs use it in a way that's practical, in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming, in a way that feels genuine and authentic to your brand, just because I know that that's what we really want. And I think that that's how you can build the most success sustainably for your business,
Yeah, because like the experts are probably really the programmers. People like my spouse is actually, he does machine learning and all of the coding, all of that stuff, but he's not applying it to business stuff like we are. So like the experts aren't as familiar with maybe how we would apply it authentically and practically. And
yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so much freaking out there and so many opportunities, so many different things that you can do with it. And so, yeah, I guess really what I would encourage the solopreneurs who are wearing all their hats in their business. It's hilarious. I was like playing around with my messaging in ChatGPT the other day. And I was like, make a list of like one-liner statements that are like revelatory, that shift perspectives, that are catchy or something, and I was telling it about my brand, and it said, ChatGPT can help you take off some of those hats that we're wearing. I'm like, yes, you can, ChatGPT. And so that's how I would encourage you to approach it, is like, it can be overwhelming. It can be applied in so many ways. Really think about, what do I need the most help with in my business? And how can these softwares possibly help me take off a few of my hats, so to say?
Yes. Okay, so let's first dive into some of the things that I've heard and maybe even felt myself sometimes as pushback against using AI. So one of the concerns that I've heard is around copyright infringement, especially with the art, where it's really kind of taking pieces of other people's artwork together and putting it together to create these illustrations. But even the text. That is what a machine learning, what it does is it takes information that's existing and compiles it together to create something that it thinks you want. So do you have any thoughts around the whole concern of copyright infringement?
Totally, lady. And I know there's so many things. And also too, I will say that this is my first time really articulating my thoughts about the copyright stuff, even though I have all these thoughts swirling in my head. I haven't actually said it out loud to someone else. So hopefully what I say makes sense. But I know basically there's like a lot of concerns when it comes to that sort of stuff, and especially the copyright infringement. I mean, I feel like there's a few different approaches, right? Firstly, I really respect artists. I respect whether it's the written word or visual arts. I respect creatives and what we can come up with out of our own imagination, our own creativity. And I do think that it's a full concern. You don't necessarily want someone copying you. And at the same time, what exactly is intellectual property? Like, how is it defined? And what, to the extent of like, of copying someone else, right? And so I do think that there's kind of a gray area with fully copying someone word for word. You know, you think back to college when you hear about people who just like literally copy pasted an essay off the internet and just like change the title and put their name on it. It's like, obviously the professor could see that it's like word for word. The outline is exactly the same. You know, this is copied versus ChatGPT. It really is a collaborative software, and it does analyze so many points of information. And at the same time, a lot of the stuff, depending on how you use it, you can really have it be catered to your brand, your voice, all the different stuff. Like, yes, it may pick and choose pieces of different information and pile them all together into something that makes sense for you. But like some of that could be ideas that, you know, other people have thought of or generated, or like it all is ideas that other people have generated, right? So it's kind of one of those things that's like a little unclear for sure. And I think what I would encourage, I think that firstly, this is definitely going to become an issue, right? This is an unsolved new frontier issue that I think that we will start to see more regulation around in the near future. But for now, it's like not very regulated, or it's a little bit of a gray area just legally. But what I would encourage you to do is firstly, always use ChatGPT as a like collaborative assistant in your own creativity. Make sure that you are using it and telling it exactly who you are, who your brand is, so that it can throw out ideas, so that it can throw out language that's representative of like you. Allow it to generate ideas for you and for you to riff off of it and edit it to make it sound more like you and more your own voice. And then also, I feel like I had another point. Oh, also just like decide for yourself, what are you comfortable with? You can create your own code of conduct when it comes to the ethics behind it and how you want to use it. And whatever that looks like for you, whatever you're comfortable with, as long as you can stand behind it, awesome. So, you know, for me, for Feel Good Social, I will always run my content through a filter of, firstly, I don't normally have it like full out write me things because it hasn't fully nailed my brand voice, but I will pick and choose little pieces here and there. It'll throw out little phrases to me like bang for your buck, which I use a lot, but so do a lot of other people, you know? So like, is that copyright? I don't know, you know, but like, I will totally use that phrase. Cool. ChatGPT has thrown that phrase at me. Awesome. I'll run it through the filter of Feel Good Social. And I'll also usually just like pick and choose the content and the language that I use from it and kind of revise the stuff that ChatGPT throws my way. Yeah. So that's how I approach it. And I just encourage people to decide for themselves what that looks like for them.
Yeah, I haven't used it a whole lot, but what I've used ChatGPT for, it's kind of like as my base idea generator of like the hardest part sometimes of a project is just getting started. And so it's like, all right, I just need some ideas to get started, and like just asking it, what are 20 ideas around this or whatever? And then it's like, oh, wait, this really aligns with me, what I'm excited about, what my audience needs right now, whatever it is. And so I pick 3 out of it or something like that. And then, you know, like you said, change the wording a little bit, make it actually have my brand voice. But I find it really helpful for just making some of those processes that can be time consuming, much less time consuming.
Oh yeah, it is so nice. Now that I'm like whenever I first got introduced to it and started hearing more about it and stuff, I was definitely like feeling like, oh my gosh, the ethics of it. Oh my gosh, is it going to hinder creativity? Oh my gosh, is it going to take over the world? Like that sort of stuff. And I had this like aha epiphany moment where I shifted my perspective, decided to embrace it. And now I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, this is such a great tool, especially for solopreneurs who are doing all the things in their business and, run up against like creator's block or writer's block, who just are overloaded with the mundane tasks that we all have to do, who have trouble really like getting clarity on their ideal customer, their messaging, all that different stuff, but they don't necessarily have like the resources to invest in a coach or like mastermind or anything like that,
All of those things that you like put on the to-do list that have been there for 4 years because you still don't have time to actually address them. And it's like, ChatGPT, you'll actually get it done. And you have the stuff to use.
Totally. So
the other
nice.
thing on copyright from an artist perspective, a creator perspective, ChatGPT can create knitting patterns and crochet patterns, but they don't always make 100% sense. And what it does create, so far from what I've seen, I haven't ever actually tried to do it myself. I've just, from research that I've done, they're very simple patterns. So it's not going to have the beautiful detailing probably that you would put into a pattern. It's not going to have really the touches that you're going to add as a designer, as a creative. And so much of a pattern also is how you choose to write it. So you could, probably grab the base of your pattern from ChatGPT. But then if you were to add all the other things that you add for information and walking your knitter through the pattern, it could become something entirely different. And it's not copyright at that point either.
Oh man, I love this. Yeah, and I actually haven't even thought about how it would be applied to knitting patterns. This is why I'm so excited for the new podcast, because I'm like just so excited to like chat with lots of people and lots of different industries and hear how they're thinking about it and using it in their businesses and stuff. And for sure, I think about that the same. I've heard of people using ChatGPT for recipes, and some people love it. And also I've heard some failures for sure. And it's like, well, yeah, it's because it creates like recipes using all this different information that they think is the best from all these different sources. And all of a sudden it could probably go terribly wrong. But I have heard of people using it for like meal plans and stuff, which might be cool. And, or like if you have certain ingredients in your fridge that you need to use and you're like, what's a recipe that has these ingredients? Like that could be helpful too and stuff. So yeah, there's lots of different cool ways. So I love hearing about the knitting pattern idea too. So interesting.
Okay. Just another kind of pushback that I've heard is like, it feels like it's cheating. Like it's like, I'm just taking my business responsibilities and handing it over to a computer. Can I feel good? Since you're about feeling good in your business and feeling authentic, can I feel authentic and feel good about my work if a computer's generating it for me?
Oh, I love this. Cheating. Yeah. I mean, for sure. I somewhat had pushback. That was actually my first thought that popped into my head whenever I heard about all this. It was like, is this going to hinder our creativity? Was my biggest thing, right? And in my head, I'm like, sometimes creativity, I think that like the struggle that you go through breaking down the barriers and pushing, knowing something is there is like good for us, right? And I've had this like long little issue in the back of my head with like Google as well. Like we were right at that age where like we couldn't necessarily Google everything our entire lives, right? And then in high school, like Google happened or whenever it was. And well, I remember using like Ask Jeeves or whatever in like elementary school. But anyway, like I have had this thing where I'm like, are our children or the next generations going to have it almost too easy when it comes to learning it? And it goes back to like the attention span thing too, right? Yes, awesome. They have all of this information at their fingertips. And are they going to just forget it as quickly as they learn it? Retention and stuff like that. And I have kind of the same thing when it comes to like ChatGPT and creativity. Should we struggle? And then at the same time, I realized I don't think that we should. I think it's dumb to struggle more than you need to. And I think it's dumb to think that like artists have to be starving and dark and like it's a Liz Gilbert with what's her book that about creativity or whatever. She wrote that book about like creativity, and she's like, it's just so dumb that some people think that artists have to go through all of this pain or always have to be in pain in order to create art, right? Like, no. And the same thing for business owners. I say if you are a solopreneur, we all know how hard that is. We all know how hard it is to be doing all the things for your business all the time. And like, why not embrace something that can make our life easier? And the one thing I would just like recommend that you do is to make sure that you are using it in a way that you do feel good about, right? So maybe you don't, just copy paste everything and turn your brand into this dehumanized robot sounding brand. Like, no, how about you just use it to work through that writer's block or creator's block to help you clarify your ideas, to help you generate new ideas or think about things from a different perspective too, right? That you might not have thought about before. And I don't think that should feel like cheating, because why not embrace the tools that can help us? And as long as you are using it in a way that feels authentic and good to you, great. And if you need help shifting your perspective when it comes to that, just hit me up. I can try to help talk you through that, because I was on both sides of this coin. And once I shifted my perspective about this stuff and embraced it and learned more about it, man, it has been just so exciting and more fun and more easy. And I'm so glad that I did that.
I love that. Yeah. And I think that, especially like what I hear from a lot of designers is I started designing because I wanted to design. I wanted to create art. And now that I'm running a business, I feel like more than half of my time is on the business stuff, and I don't enjoy the business stuff. I kind of love business stuff sometimes too. But what I hear from a lot of designers is that they don't love the business side. So, offloading some of that burden that you don't love, those tasks that are just like mundane to-do tasks that feels like they're just taking up all of your time and not allowing you to create art. If you can send that to the AI to get it to do that work for you in a way that feels good to you, then it does give you more freedom and time to focus on the creativity and other things that you enjoy.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like it can help you. It can help you do the mundane tasks that then allow you to focus on the stuff you love, creativity, or to focus on like genuine customer interactions and relationship building, or to just like give you space to enjoy your life a little bit on the back end too, because we all know that that's an issue too. I was recording a podcast about this topic kind of, and I was just like, okay, the one thing I want you to remember is because ChatGPT allows you more room and space and energy to do more in your business, doesn't mean that you have to take it all the way to the edge of more once again, right? Like use this like extra space and time to give yourself more breathing room so that you don't dive headfirst into burnout, even with the help of ChatGPT, right?
100%. That's actually before this podcast, before recording this, I wrote down a few notes of my thoughts. And that was one that I wrote down too, is having more time for personal and outside life while also moving forward on goals. But the same idea of I know that I have the tendency of, if I have more space, I'm going to spend more time, but changing that perspective to say, oh, hey, this means that I can spend more time traveling. I can spend more time outside. I can spend more time with family. I can spend whatever it looks like for you. I love that. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Oh yeah, because we're so the same, right? It's like if you're an entrepreneur, like chances are you feel pretty ambitious, like it's a big group of us that are like ambitious, that want to do more, that like we're go-getters, we're action takers. And so that is like something that we need to hear. Just because you can do more, it doesn't mean that you gotta, like this is just more of an opportunity to create like a little bit of space for yourself too, because that's very important.
Okay. The last thing that I had written down was a pushback, and it's this concern that AI will take over our work. Like, what if now we just have computers doing everything for us and there's no space for us to exist and no reason for us to exist?
Oh my gosh, totally. I love that we're bringing all this up because I'm like, I was literally just thinking about all these different things. And I've had this pushback in every fear, frustration, worry that you could feel with AI. I've definitely felt that myself, right? And the AI is going to take our jobs, it's like reminds me of that South Park episode or whatever. But here's the thing. AI is going to be here, going to continue evolving no matter what. There's nothing that you can do about that. And at the same time, while AI is definitely going to make our jobs evolve, it's going to change and shift the way we do our jobs, the way we run our business, it doesn't have to fully put you out of a job, right? I always like to think of copywriters because I feel like that is the most kind of straightforward and where I felt the most fear and like panic a little bit from people thinking, well, ChatGPT can just write a bunch of content and now my clients can use ChatGPT. They don't even need me anymore. What is this going to do to me? Is this going to make my business fail? Is this going to like just erase our industry as copywriters? Because ChatGPT literally can do it for us, right? That's been this big fear and conversation in the copywriting world. However, I think it's important to remember, firstly, AI is here to stay and it's going to be ever evolving. So like react to it. Don't just like dismiss it because then you will be out of a job, right? If you decide you're going to fail and you should quit, then like, I guess it will take your job. But however, what if you could instead think about, okay, how can I use this technology to aid me in my business? And what differentiates me from this technology? Because I'm sorry, but like, all the copywriters out there or whoever is listening, you know that you're more than just like a machine typing words. ChatGPT specifically reacts to what you put into it and what you ask of it. And it's really like, it takes some skill to have it generate a response that is as good or even close to good as what copywriters have been producing for years. Because there's more that goes into copywriting than just like, oh, I'm going to type up this, I'm just going to put words into a computer. No, it's like thinking about the strategy behind the copy, thinking about who your customer is, what is their tone of voice, what message do they need to get across, and to who are they talking to? How are they going to be persuasive to their ideal customers? That's what copywriting is. ChatGPT can try to do that for you, but like your clients are not going to get great responses out of it, right? So instead, embrace AI and think, how can I make this work for me? And maybe it evolves your title. Maybe it evolves your job. Maybe you become more of like a copy and messaging strategist. And you really, really hone that strategy, critical thinking part of it, backed with the support of AI technology to make your job more efficient, sometimes more strategic. But like, I think that can be applied to any industry. We don't know where AI is going necessarily. We know that it's here and we know it's going to continue to get better and better. But the best thing you can do is get curious about it, learn more about it, and then really think, how can this support me in the path I want to take my life, in the career I want to go, and the job I want to do, in my business? How can this support me? And then also be light on your toes when it comes to it, right? Because it is going to keep changing and all the different stuff. And just remember that and realize, like, yes, I'm going to have to be light on my toes. I might have to make shifts and continue making shifts with the way I do my work down the line. However, that's okay because I can navigate it. And I'm confident in my ability to navigate it. And if I start learning about it right now, it'll be easier to continue to shift and navigate moving forward because I'm starting now at the basics, learning about it. And it'll be this collaborative relationship moving forward versus like, I'm just going to quit my life.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to remember that AI is a computer. It's not a human. It doesn't have the personality. It doesn't really have that personal voice. It doesn't have the emotional touch that you can add to it. It can do a lot, but it never will actually replicate a person. Like, even if you just think of like your own personal stories and how that's like the deepest way we often can connect with fellow humans, still showing up and sharing that is going to be extremely valuable. knowing that it's a personal story of yours that relates to somebody else is always going to feel like a stronger connection than some random story from the internet, some random story from a robot. So it's valuable, it's incredible, but it's a robot. It's not a, it's not a human.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's hilarious because I've been playing around with that too. And like my thoughts about that as well, because you're totally right. And I think that that is one of the best ways we can continue to make our brands feel authentic, right? Is to, yes, use AI, use ChatGPT as a collaborative partner, allow it to help us generate ideas, allow it to help us automate systems, even write copy that like is kind of mundane and repetitive or hone your brand voice, but it can't take your experiences. Mm-hmm. Right. You only you know your lived experiences. Only you also know your clients' lived experiences and examples, which both of those stories are so, so powerful. And so anytime I'm working on, like content made easy with ChatGPT or like content creation, how to use it in content creation, how to create a system that doesn't feel overwhelming, all that different stuff. And like, yeah, one of the things that you can always do is no matter what like prompts it throws your way and whatnot, like make a list of personal experiences and client experiences that can reflect this idea or that help to prove this idea or, whatever it is. And that is how you can continue to keep your brand human. Definitely,
Yes, I love that. Real quick, I did want to also mention another AI program that's not for creating content, but I have a friend who's also a knitwear designer who's absolutely loving the Motion app. Have you heard of it, Kenzie?
Motion?
Yeah.
Motion? Okay, no.
Yeah, so it's basically you tell it everything that's on your to-do list, how long it's going to take. You can have like recurring tasks and everything, and what your time blocks are for working, and it creates your whole ideal schedule. Like I think you can even say like, this is when I'm creative. And so this is a creative task or whatever. And so then it creates your whole schedule for you. She's absolutely loving it. I have not tried it, but that's another example of AI in business that's outside of things like ChatGPT and creating content. It's just making your business more efficient and less overwhelming.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm gonna have to look into that. Motion with an M?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because there's Notion as well, which is also integrating like some AI stuff. And I was like, wait a second. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to check that out for sure.
Yeah, Motion app, A-P-P. So,
yeah.
Okay, before we round up, Kenzie, do you have like 3 tips for folks on how to use AI, your favorite things to use AI, how to use it so that it feels authentic, anything like that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to AI, like the first thing is the overwhelm, right? So like you're feeling overwhelmed in your business because you don't have enough ideas or you don't have enough of something. And then you start to use AI or dip your toes in the AI world and it feels very, very overwhelming. Just all of the content ideas it's throwing your way and just like all the different softwares that you could try, all the different stuff. And so always just remember to bring it back home to what do I need now in the moment, and just like focus on trying to like help yourself in one small way, and or just like develop a system for organizing, the content ideas. Have a brain dump list, even just like a Google Doc that's fully messy, just to put the ideas that you're getting in there so that you don't have to worry about missing out on them or losing them or whatever it is. So try to, anytime you're feeling overwhelmed with the software, talk yourself down from that for sure. And then when it comes to using it authentically, my best tip for getting content out of ChatGPT that feels like your brand, that makes sense for your brand, is to make sure that you're always telling it about your brand, right? So don't just go into the software and be like, generate content ideas for a knitting pattern, like a knitwear designer, or whatever it is. I mean, actually, even that is better than
for a business.
generate content ideas for my business. Like, what is your business? But even like generating content ideas for knitwear designers, like I like to give it more information than that even, because that is how you get the best, most specific answers, content out of ChatGPT, right? So for me, for example, with Feel Good Social, every time I go in there and I'm talking about anything to do with my business, I will tell it like my Feel Good Social value proposition, where I talk about who I am, what I do, how I help people. Mine is I help down-to-earth entrepreneurs show up online authentically and build their business with the help of ChatGPT and AI so that they don't waste any time, lose their mind, or sell their soul, right? So I tell it a little bit about me, my brand, who my ideal customers are, solopreneurs wearing all the hats. I tell it like how I help them. I throw some of my values in there, right? Without wasting your time, losing your mind, selling your soul, So I give it that information about me, about my ideal customers, about how I help them, about what my values are. And then I also even throw in language indicators, such as write your responses in easygoing, casual, non-judgmental, friendly, down-to-earth language. I'll say throw some emojis in there. I'm an emoji girl. And then I'll be very, very specific about the content that I want it to generate. Don't just generate content ideas, generate one-liners that are revelatory or shock and awe, or like whatever it is. I'll be very, very specific about the topic, about the type of content, about the language I want to use. And that's how you'll get like the most you-specific responses from ChatGPT. And that's how you can kind of find the angle of your brand and make it the most helpful for you and the most authentic for you. So you're not just feeling like you're churning out the same content as everyone else, or that your brand is turning into a robot. Be specific with that stuff.
Yes, I love that. That's so amazing. Kinsey, I think we could always talk forever. Like we could just record 10 podcasts right now talking about AI, but let this be for this one as the introduction to AI. Hopefully we'll have you back. Where can folks find you online?
Yes, you can find me at Feel Good Social on Instagram, or we have a second Instagram called Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs, at Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs, and then feelgoodsocial.com or AuthenticAIForEntrepreneurs.com is our new website for the new podcast as well. So I'd love to connect with you.
So exciting. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, Jessica. It's so good to talk to you.
How great was that combo with Jessica, you guys? She did such a great job asking me all of the interesting, hot, and sometimes hard questions for sure. But that is why I love this show, and I love having conversations with other entrepreneurs about this stuff, because I truly believe that that is how we can all learn, grow together, start embracing AI technology, and get more involved in the conversations around it so we can shape the future for AI that we really want to see. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, my friend, and I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.